All right, let's go. Welcome to the MARC DANIEL PATRICK Show. Thank you so much for joining me on here. If you are looking for reaction videos, we have over 150 reaction videos that are not available on YouTube. They're all at our Patreon page at the link below. There's a number of things there. If you're looking for musical theater, we have Dear Evan Hansen's on there. Some of the best performances from the 75th Annual Tony Awards, including MJ the Musical, which was one of my favorites. We have Pentatonics there, BTS, Harry Styles. There's a number of different things on there. Go check it out at the link below, and let me know if there's anything else you'd like to see. I'd be happy to react to it and add it to the page. Our guest today. This one I loved. This is a special one. Our guest today is Onalee. I first found her on TikTok. I came across a video of her singing a cover of Surface Pressure from Disney's Encanto. I loved it so much I had to feature it in a reaction video on my YouTube channel. But what was going on in her life at the time is something no one else would really know except for those that are close to her. And she was so gracious enough to open up about that to me on this episode today. So I'm so excited for you to hear that. Hope you enjoy this one. Please leave your comments below of what you thought of this episode and maybe who you'd like to see in the future. Please enjoy Onalee. Well, I wanted to start with happy belated birthday, first of all.
Thank you. Yeah,
26. What was it on? 26.
26.
My God. Mm-hmm. What was the first quarter century like for you? What if you look back on the last 25 years? What's the biggest thing that stands out? The biggest memory?
It's crazy because I was just talking to my friend the other day, and I was like, 8 years ago I graduated high school. I was like, I don't know as I like how that feels. Right. But I don't know. I've been able to experience a lot, and I think definitely the last couple years, like just with COVID and stuff and kind of figuring out things to do, which brought me to this platform and stuff. Yeah. Which I never foresaw, like literally, if you go back and look at like my first TikToks, it was literally me in quarantine, just like doing random things in my bedroom, like not even singing right off the bat or anything. Right. And so I'm like, the fact that kind of turned into me meeting a lot of people, like I've got friends kind of all over the country now that I've made, and I think that's probably, at least from the last couple years, one of the more memorable things because it was unexpected. So. Right.
Well, two things. First of all, let me know how it feels when you get to 35. Then we'll talk again. Number two, I think that's everyone during the pandemic sort of found something new, right? I started a YouTube channel out of nowhere and had absolutely no idea what I was doing on there. And same with you. You just make fun videos in your bedroom and see what sticks. Well, you brought up TikTok, so let's go there. Did you ever expect, like, did you know, I mean, obviously you've been singing forever, but did you think eventually, like, okay, I need to turn into a singing TikTok. I need to show this side of me in order to make this work?
I think I've kind of gone through a lot of different, like, because I've had very different videos that have done well. Then I think in that season I was like, oh, I need to focus on this because this did really well. And then another thing went really well, so I was like, oh, I'll focus on this. And now I think it's more so just I post things for fun. And I'm not focused as much as like what's gonna do well, because then you kind of experience like, I don't want to make things like one of my videos that did really well at one point was like an outfit of the day thing. So then I was doing them every day, and I was like, I don't want to show people that I'm just like in my pajamas. And I'm like, if I don't want to do it, it's not going to be genuine. And so I kind of just like moved to just posting what I wanted to post. And if it did well, it did well. If not, it was fine.
It's a healthy mindset to get into. It really is. Yes. Because if you're constantly trying to feed the beast, you're never gonna beat the algorithm, right? It's
exactly.
You're never gonna tackle that. Yeah, I know what you mean exactly. And you need to make things for yourself. And if it feels good for you, hey, if it hits and finds an audience, great. If not, then it doesn't. You know, you kind of just have to accept that. There are so many other people in the world who have a Skylar Aston obsession. So I think other people will find that. I think other people will find that video on their own.
My goal, I would love if someday Skylar Aston found one of my videos, because I think it's embarrassingly funny, but
it's not embarrassing at all.
Anyway.
It makes so much sense. So then when you see him, well, you had to have known it was coming, but when you see him show up on a solo for the Spring Awakening 15 year.
Oh, I was
right?
just like, it's gonna be beautiful. And then it happened and I cried. I was like, Jonathan Groff and Leah are great.
Yeah,
But something about Skylar, I'm like, I'm just waiting for him to get to, like, originate a role on Broadway again. Because, like, he took on Little Shop and stuff, which is great. But I'm like,
Yes.
give him his own thing. Let him have his
Right.
time.
I felt lucky enough that I was at the age where I was in New York to see the original Spring Awakening, and you could tell immediately, you could see it in him that it was just, you kind of gravitate towards him, right? He was to me, I could see it right away. Of course, yeah, the main leads are fine, but you could tell right away. I love this because I get to actually geek out with a musical theater nerd, and I know you don't mind me saying that at all, because we all love it and embrace it. So if you gave me the show bio version of Onalee, where did you study? Where did you start this musical theater journey?
Oh. I was very young when my dad introduced me to musicals. My dad was kind of more the musical person out of both of my parents. Like, we all sang, but as far as musical theater, that was more my dad's thing. So, like, Fiddler on the Roof and, like, all those classic ones.
I could just picture your dad singing If I Was a Rich Man walking around the house.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And so I was doing the little musicals at my church, like that we would do every year. But I wasn't in my first like show until middle school. I told my parents, I said, I'm done doing Taekwondo. I did Taekwondo for like 6 years or something. I was like, I'm going to audition for Alice in Wonderland Jr. And so I auditioned for that in middle school. Those are two opposite ends
of the spectrum.
Yes. So I auditioned for that in middle school. And that was like my first show. And then from there I did musicals all through high school. Then I went to Central Washington University. They're a really good education program, but I minored in theater arts. So it wasn't a musical theater focus, but I was able to get like a lot of knowledge of just how theater in general works. And I did shows with them for my first 2 years of college, and then I kind of had to focus more on my education stuff. So as far as musical theater, that's kind of been the journey. I've always sang. I've sang since I was little.
Well, I was gonna touch on that. Is that so? You obviously you said your dad was quite musical as well. Does that come back to maybe your faith and singing in church? Is that had to be an important start at least into the music?
Yeah, because I think that's where a lot of it started. And just in general, both my parents sang together. So like when they would support Raise in churches and stuff, we would sing as a family. And my brother wasn't too into singing like when we were younger, but now it's like he's like full ride vocal scholarship at his college, like
good for
big
him. Yeah.
Tenor, opera, like that kind of realm of stuff. Wade, he does the musical theater stuff too, but opera's more been the focus in college.
And where was this all taking place? Where did you grow up?
I grew up in Oregon, so I'm near Portland. That's actually where I am right now. I'm at my mom's for the summer.
Getting your fix of voodoo donuts?
See, I think Voodoo Donuts is overhyped. Like, it was fine.
Well, I'll cancel their sponsorship for this episode then. Jeez.
I don't know. It's like, they were good when I first had them, but I think when you live there and then everyone's obsessed over Voodoo Donuts, you're like, there's so many other really good donut places in town you could go.
That's fair. And you're probably just being part of, like, when you're there all the time, it's so different, right? For me, I grew up in Niagara Falls, Canada, and when people hear that, they're so amazed, and I'm just like, it's falling water. Like, let's calm down, It doesn't really...
It's a waterfall.
Exactly. It doesn't get me that excited. And I'm sure for you, you're just annoyed by the, around the corner lineups that they have every day. It's just, that's all you see.
I remember I was 13 standing in line with a couple friends and their mom we went at midnight or something after a Jonas Brothers concert. And it was like, I was like, I never want to do this. The fact that the line is wrapped around the building in the middle of the night, I was like, I don't understand. Pop off, I guess.
We need to get you singing on here if you can, if you feel up to it.
I can. It may not. We'll see.
All good. I figured, so I like to do a little game on here, Song Association. Everyone's heard of it. Everyone knows what it is. I'm going to go through and give you some words, but I figured, should we make it a musical theater edition, or do you want to
it might make it a little easier. I was telling my friend before getting on here today, I said, I am so scared because when it comes to Song Association, the brain goes blank. So maybe having a theme.
I'm kind of the same. I'm right in line with you. And even when I'm sitting making these words for these interviews, I'm thinking, I don't know what they're gonna sing, but let's hope they can come up with something. I'll
Oh
tell you,
gosh.
if we're going musical theater route, they are a bunch of softball words, so
Okay.
you really don't have to worry. All right.
Okay.
Let's start it off. Our first word is dream.
We're your dream girls, boys. Does that work?
Of course it does. You need to
We'll
sing
make
more
you
of that though.
happy. We're your dream girls, boys. And I forget the rest of the words. But that's
as does
there. I was like,
as does everyone.
I was like, I know the notes, but I don't remember the words. I love that musical though.
As do I, and I love the fact that you didn't fall into the I dreamed a dream
Oh, you're right. That does say
pitfall
dream.
there. That
The way I was like,
it's the only recognizable
I don't
word
know.
maybe in that song, but
true,
that's okay.
true.
That's fine.
I don't. Again, I'm telling you, the brain does not.
Nailed it on word number 1. Let's go word number 2 is good.
Good. I have been changed for good. It well may be that we will never meet again in this lifetime. So let me say before we part. I don't know how long you want me to go.
That's beautiful. Do you watching? I'm sure you watched the Tony Awards as I did.
Yes.
That picture of her coming up on screen accepting her Tony Award, Kristen Chenoweth. How young she looked. That's incredible.
Yeah. I forget how long ago Wicked actually came out. Because I think because it's still so prevalent that it's like, I forget that they were so much younger.
Number 3, the word is touch.
Touch. You're gonna make me sing Cats.
I don't have memory in brackets beside the word touch here.
I know, but that's the only one I could think of.
Oh no,
Okay,
I do.
hold on.
I have memory written right here.
Touch me, it's so easy. Oh, the high to leave me. I could have
You got
chosen
it.
a different key. All alone with the memories of my days in the sun.
There you
Yeah.
go. Give that head voice a workout.
Yeah.
That's just what this cold wants right now.
I don't know what it is about Cats, but I just I've watched it.
Do tell.
I had
Yeah.
to perform a song from it in a review in college. We did Jellicle Cats. I don't know why someone chose Jellicle Cats as the song we were going to do as a group number, but it's fine.
Right.
I was
The
just
most
like,
confusing number of the show.
yeah. I'm like, I just don't understand what the thought process behind making a musical about cats is. But there are people who love that show and go them. I only remember 3 songs from that show. Memory, Jellicle Cats, and Rum Tum Tugger. Those are the only ones that I remember. But
In school, I did a production of Cats, so I unfortunately know all of them. But yeah, the worst part was coming out after the show, and that's all anyone ever had to say to you is, so what is a Jellicle cat? And you're like,
you finish watching the show and you're like, I don't even know what this was supposed to be about. Like,
you don't.
yeah.
No.
My dad was like, he did makeup for like a couple songs from Cats that they did in college. And I was like, congratulations, because that's why he made me watch it. And I was like, that's cool, but I don't understand it. But anyway, There you go.
And even now, like recently, it's just become who can play Grisabella and who's gonna sing that song. That's really the attraction.
Taylor Harris right now, who's on the tour. She's fantastic. She's from the area, so like I know of her. And she's so talented, and she's doing the tour right now. And I was like, I contemplated getting tickets just to see her play it, but I was like,
but then you remembered it's
justify.
Cats.
But then I remembered it's Cats, and it's not just listening to Taylor Harris singing Memory.
Right. It is unfortunate that one of the biggest songs in musical theater ever has to be attached to that
to Cats.
to that show. Oh, Andrew, can you put it in something else? Put it in a Vita or something. Give us put it somewhere else. But all right. Let's go on to another word. The word is room.
I'll just go with first. I wanna be in the room where it happens, the room where it happens, the room where it happens. I was trying to think of a different one, and I couldn't think of one.
You're in Portland, but you're originally from California, you said?
I lived there till I was 2, but I was born in California, so I don't remember any of living in California. So I mainly say I'm from Oregon, but I live in Washington now, full time. So
you're just up and down the West Coast. You just can't choose.
I just keep going north.
Yeah, what is that? The 5? Is that the Highway 5? Is it that goes up and down?
Yeah,
Am I making things up. Oh, there you go.
I think so.
We'll just say it is.
I'm not very good at directions.
So the main point was, what is the theater scene like that? Is there a big theater scene in Portland?
There actually is. There's a lot of community theater through Portland. Also, being in Washington, there's a lot in Seattle too.
Right. Fifth
so
Ave,
Seattle, Fifth Ave, which originates a ton of shows that end up going to Broadway. They'll workshop a bunch of them.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But yeah, in Portland, we've got some bigger community theaters. Haley Kilgore is actually from Portland. I don't know if you know who she is.
I've heard of her, yes.
She was in the Once on This Island revival. She was heavily involved in the community theater in Portland. But yeah, it's cool being from areas that have a lot of opportunity, even just to see stuff. There's a lot of people that don't have that opportunity.
At all, no, and even it doesn't even have to just be theater, just music in general. I talk to a lot of people on here that they sort of grew up in the South or grew up, in the middle, like sort of the Midwest of the country, and it's so they don't even realize that there's this whole music world that they could have. They think they can sing, but they don't know where to take that, right, and where to apply that. And it's such a disservice to see so many people who have such great talents not knowing what to do with it or where to take that, and it's so unfortunate to see, but. Hopefully TikTok now is this, for all its good and bad, it's it's somewhat of a vessel to get these people recognized somewhat.
I have a whole playlist on Spotify that's literally just songs I found through like songwriters on TikTok. Yeah. Because I'm like, this is the only way that they're getting their music out there. Right. And there's so many talented people. Like, we've got all the people who are freaking writing musicals about movies and TV shows. There's this platform that just has so many opportunities for people. Is really cool. Because that's what YouTube, used to be. Right. And still can be, but it definitely is evolving in that way.
All right. You ready for your next word?
Sure. Now this one has to accompany the proper song, the right song, because I would love to hear you sing this song, and we need a full cover of it one day. But the word is mine. I'm trying to think of what you were thinking.
Just added copious amounts of pressure.
I know, because now I'm like, well, what song were you wanting?
Do you enjoy baking? Baking at all, like pies at all?
Yes. One second, let me
just threw
You're good.
Through the cold and overdrive. I'm so sorry.
You're fine. She's imperfect, but she tries. She is good, but she lies. She is hard on herself. She is broken and won't ask for help. She is messy, but she's kind. She is lonely most of the time. She is all of this mixed up and baked in a beautiful pie. She is gone, but she used to be mine.
Oh my God, it's beautiful. Tell me you're not in love with that song.
I love that song. I love all the songs from Waitress. It's funny because vocally, I'm probably more of a Jenna, but I love the character of Dawn. I think Dawn is so funny because she's quirky.
I love that you said that, because it's something that, so when I sort of started my YouTube channel, it was a different direction I wanted to go. And I don't think a lot of people latched onto it, because people just want to see belting notes, and they don't really, they just want to see the big, the high wire acts really that you see in musical theater, and like these amazing notes that people can hit. But at the end of the day, like when a performer gets out on stage and can actually shed a piece of themselves into a song 8 times a week, how can you not sit down and react to that? How can you not appreciate that and talk about that? I've seen so many vocal coaches on YouTube who will say, "Well, I don't know what this song is about, but I'm going to react to it anyway." And I'm like, well, what are you doing then? Like, what service are you providing if you don't know exactly what the song's about?
Yeah, a song can be vocally impressive, but if you're not telling the story behind it, whether that's the story of the character or the story of yourself or whatever, it takes away from, in my opinion, it takes away from it being impressive. I'm like, oh, cool, you can hit that note, but like, did you make me feel something while hitting that note kind of thing? I've always strived to do, like, when I perform, even if it's just like a pop song or something. Pop songs still have stories. Like, it doesn't have to be from a musical to have a story behind it. And I just think that's a beauty of performing.
Well, speaking of the beauty of performing, I'll give you a word first, and then I have 100 questions about it. But
okay,
the word, just because I need to hear you sing it on here, the word is pressure.
Okay. Pressure like a drip, drip, drip that'll never stop. Whoa. Pressure that'll tip, tip, tip till you just go pop. Whoa. I'm giving you the fast version.
I love it.
But
it's all good.
When I tell you, so my school did, for the end of the school year, they did, on one day it was all the kindergarten through second graders, and then another day it was all the third through fifth graders, sat in the gym and watched Encanto. Having a gym full of children sing along to that song is really cool. Like, it's really cool, but it's also terrifying because they're like screaming the lyrics. They're so into that movie.
Lin-Manuel Miranda, how does he do it all the time? I mean, if not for the fact that he brought a whole section of musical theater fans that you never would have had. He brought them into the theater with Hamilton. Like,
exactly.
The hip hop and rap community never would have touched musical theater. And now all of a sudden they're in there.
And so many people, like, Hamilton was their exposure to Lin-Manuel Miranda, but I was an In the Heights fan, like, but when it was like before it was a movie. Right. And so I was familiar with his stuff. So when Hamilton came out, I was like, oh, it's going to be great.
I love how that's all the bragging rights of musical theater kids. Like, true musical theater fans, they all have to add that caveat before it was a movie.
I've listened to it before.
Before it was a movie. Yeah. No. You don't know the true.
I liked when Lin did Moana. Moana was really good too. But the music just really helped tell the story so well in this movie.
Well, I think you also had Moana to Encanto. You had a bunch of different characters you could attach yourself to, right? Moana was kind of focused on her and her journey, but this one you had an entire family that allowed you to attach to so many different characters.
Everyone can find someone that I think that they identify with in that family, because the dynamics of the family span even beyond just that culture. It spans just to the culture of families in general, because all families have their issues and their dynamics. That I think it was very important to tell that story, and that cultural aspect of that story was super important because we don't see it represented a lot. But at the same time making it relatable for all people who are watching it. On that note, so I discovered you, and I'm sure half of TikTok discovered you thanks to Encanto. Now, when you did you think it would sound great as a ballad? Because listening to that song first, I would never think to slow it down. But when you hear, I can't remember who the guy's name is that you duetted with. When you hear him slow that down, is that what makes you cover it, or would you wanted to have covered it before, or? I don't think I'd pictured it as a ballad, but then when I heard it, I was like, wait, this works. Because I saw so many comments on it that were like, oh, I could see this being like a reprise later when she's like lost her strength and all this stuff. It was super dramatic, like taking it the super dramatic side. But I was like, this actually like really works. And I remember because I literally set my phone up on my piano in our living room and I filmed it at like 10 o'clock at night. I posted it right away. I was like, I'm just going to post it for fun. Oh my God. Yeah. And then it was like, all of a sudden it just like that night, I was like, that's weird, because for something to, like, do well, like, late at night, I was like, that's strange. And then it just kind of kept going, and I was like, cool, I guess. Like, it was one of those things. It's just cool how things end up, and the things you find from that. And then when it was in your video, I was like, wait a second, I was in a YouTube video? Like, someone featured my TikTok in a YouTube video? Because that had never happened before.
Well, let me tell you, like, to me, it was like, because I'm all about the dramatics and all about, you know, truly finding the true meaning of a song, and watching someone discover that, you slow that song down and the meaning doesn't change. That's the weird part, is from a ballad to speeding it up. If you really listen to what she's singing about, the song does not change. It shouldn't change at all. And you, for watching you perform that, really uncovered that. And not to mention your little excerpt that you put over top of the video. Can you let's unpack what that's what I think made people so attached to your version of it, and that's why it was such a success, because there's such real authenticity there, and there's real you know, you're kind of shedding yourself a little bit in the video, being like, I don't need to go into a lot of detail. I've had the past 5 years and past however many years of life's struggles. I'm going to represent it in this cover of this song. And boy, did it ever. Even though it was in front of a beautiful Christmas tree, it's still, it hit hard, I think, for a lot of people.
So actually, my senior year of college, my dad had a massive stroke. And then after that, like, a series of other small ones that left him unable to, like, walk and talk and all of that. So for almost 4 years, he was in about 4 years, he was in a adult foster care home where they were caring for him, and all that time didn't talk. And so it was a lot of, like, we'd had other things as a family where I kind of had to grow up kind of quickly, but, like, in that aspect, like, even though my brother was in college and I was finishing up college, going into my career, like, being there for my mom from a distance. My dad passed away in November, the day after Thanksgiving.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, and so it was kind of like, it was just a lot of layers. And, like, when I heard it slowed down, I was like, wait a second. Like, it was fun. Not funny, but when we saw the movie, my best friend is very much similar to Louisa. Like, she tries to take on all the responsibility and show that she's completely fine. And so it was like our joke, like, oh, you're Louisa, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But then, like, when I heard it slowed down, and especially after all of that, I was like, wait a second. I was like, even though, like, it was never that pressure was intentionally put on me. It was just kind of pressure I put on myself, I think, in that time, to be, like, our family needed strength, and if that strength had to come from me at times, that's where it came from. Just being a family that's, like, so centered around, like, faith and all of that, it was a really hard moment in that journey, and so I think that's why it made it, like, really relatable in that moment. So whether
you want to admit it or not, I think the pressure was there on you. You maybe don't feel it at the time, and you think you're just putting more on yourself, but you definitely obviously needed to be there, for them. And I had no idea. Thank you for sharing that. You go back and now listen to that. It's a short 60-second cover, but you still go back and listen to it, and you know what I mean? It feels even deeper now, that it's, in a way, almost a tribute to your dad, that you know that you're all the family has to take on, you know, the weight that he took on for so long, and that's incredible. And I'm so glad that video took off now, and is I hope you're happy with it, and I hope you're happy the response it's gotten, because it clearly does mean so much to you, as it rightfully should. Onalee, thank you. I appreciate you doing this. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure to meet you. How's your family doing now? Is everyone?
We're doing okay. It's a day by day, and some days better than others, but we've got each other, and that's what matters.